Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. This is actually Harper Lee's second published novel. Her first novel was To Kill a Mockingbird, which was an award winning novel which was published in 1960. And this title, Go Set a Watchman, is actually taken from a verse in Isaiah which says, For thus hath the Lord said unto me, Go set a watchman. Let him declare what he seeth. And the main theme of this novel is consciousness and exposing injustice. Actually, even in To Killing a Mockingbird, the same theme was heavily explored, and even here she does the same. The story goes like this. 26-year-old Jean Louise Finch is coming back home, county of Maycomb, that is in Alabama. And why she is coming is she's coming to visit her family for 2 weeks on vacation. And Jean Louise is called by her childhood nickname Scout. And she went to South for college, and afterwards now she is working in New York. Her father is Atticus Finch, who is a very famous lawyer in the town. And in fact, he is so very famous because he has helped many black men, particularly a black man who was charged of rape was released because of him, and that gave him fame. And after that, he has always been working for these black people. But now he is 72 years old, and he is actually suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, which is not allowing him for his limb movements. But Jean Louise actually respects him a lot, and she loves her father also. And when she comes to her hometown, her childhood friend and lover Henry Clinton comes there and meets her, and he drives her back home. And while he's coming back, he says it's high time we get married. But Jean Louise thinks she cannot commit herself to marrying Henry right now because she needs time for that. They talk and they come home, and they meet her father Atticus and Atticus' sister Alexandra. Actually, Alexandra and Jean Louise do not get along well because Alexandra keeps on pinpointing to all her mistakes and keeps shouting at her for not being perfect. And that night, what happens is Jean Louise and Henry, they go on a dinner, and they also go to their favorite spot, which is the land owned by her father. And on the way, Jean Louise remembers her older brother Jem, who died 2 years back because of heart attack, and also her childhood friend Dil, who is now actually abroad. And she recollects how the three of them have played and had a lot of adventures in that place. And after having dinner, Jean Louise and Henry, they go and swim in the river that night, and for fun they swim along with their clothes. And when she comes back with wet clothes to the home, Aunt Alexandra shouts at her for being so childish. And next day is Sunday, so they go to church, and Jean Louise sees Uncle Jack, whom she really loves a lot and whom she also trusts and respects. And she tells him that she will meet him that afternoon. But on coming back home, she sees a racist pamphlet in her home. So she goes and asks Aunt Alexandra what it is, and she tells that Henry and Atticus have gone to the White Supremacist Citizens Council of Maycomb meeting. So Jane Louise also goes there, and she sees into the courtyard, and she is shocked at the outright racism which was going on in the meeting. And she's also hurt because Henry and particularly her father Atticus are just quiet. They're not saying anything against it. And it was as though they are supporting the racism. So she comes back home and she falls asleep. And in her dream, she also thinks about how when she was in the 6th grade, she mistook that she was pregnant, and she was so ashamed of her pregnancy that she even went to the water tower and jumped to commit suicide because she wanted to save her family's dignity. But Henry Clinton only came and saved her at that time. And then she returned home and she spoke with Calpurnia, who was her childhood cook and maid, and she is also a black woman. And not only that, she was literally her mother after her mother's death. Her mother died of heart attack when they were all very young, and Calpurnia only took care of them. And now Jean Louise wakes up, and she hears that Calpurnia's grandson has committed manslaughter while drunk. and her father Atticus will be taking up this case. And she knows very well that Atticus is doing this because he does not want the NAACP to be involved in this. And she is so disillusioned with him, and she goes to meet Calpurnia. But Calpurnia is very angry with her because she is against her father supporting her coming and talking for taking up the case of her grandson. So she comes back home, and there she meets all the town ladies sitting there and having coffee, which her aunt was conducting. And she does not like the way they behave and the shallowness, because there is no reality in that. It was only falsehood. So she decides to go and meet her uncle. So she goes there, and there she talks about her father's twisted views, and Uncle Jack tries to explain to her, which she does not understand. And he says, see, it depends on the individual conscience, and your father is doing only what he feels is correct. Because he has to, because there must be some people who are helping the black, and it is your father who's doing it. But she is not convinced. So she comes back to her home, and that time she remembers her first high school dance, where she went along with Henry, and she was wearing all padded undergarments, and suddenly her false padded brazier slips down, and Henry took and threw it in the night. And the next morning it was found by the administrative staff, and it created a lot of anger in the school. And so Henry, in order to save her, he made each and every girl come and say that it was hers. And now coming to the present, Jean and Henry are having coffee, and she tells him that she will not be marrying him. And this brings about an argument between them, and she comes out, and she meets her father. And again her father also argues with her and says that it is not fair, because they all thought that she's going to marry Henry, and he is the right choice for her because they have a good understanding from their childhood. So Jean Louise gets irritated, and she starts packing to leave Maycomb as soon as possible. But Uncle Jack comes there, and on hearing what is happening, he slaps her and makes her to see that she has finally become her own person. She is an individual now, a grown up, and has to make her own decisions. And she cannot be temperamental like now. And after he speaks with her, Jean Louise reconciles with herself and with Henry and Atticus, and prepares to stay out for the rest of her vacation time in Maycomb, and the story ends here. It's a beautiful story by her. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you're not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.